Well, you know what? It's a little bit early, but let's get started. Might as well. Looks like everybody's in place all together now. I'd like to wish everybody a happy New Year, and I look forward to working with everyone. 2011. I can see that all commissioners are present, so we don't need to call the roll. The minutes were emailed out. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion and second. All in favor, just say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Our first official action today will be the oath of office for Nikisha Thompson. As you know, the mayor has appointed, and City Council recently confirmed the reappointment of Nikisha to the her second term on the board. So Nikisha, on behalf of the board, we're pleased and look forward to working with you, and congratulations. And I know you're going to do very well. I'd like to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Davis are here, Nikisha's parents, to witness this historic event. So, Mr. Coley, could you administer the oath of office, please?
It'd be my pleasure.
She says she's memorized it.
Yeah.
Then the notes will be on your bed. Come join her. Let's see. You'll raise your right hand, place your left hand.
Well, this hand is kind of strange.
All right. If you will, Commissioner Thompson, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications required by law
that I possess the qualifications required by law
for the office of KUB Commissioner,
for the office of KUB Commissioner,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Tennessee,
the Constitution of the State of Tennessee,
the Charter of the City of Knoxville,
the Charter of the City of Knoxville,
and the bylaws of KUB,
and the bylaws of KUB,
that I do not have any contracts or business interests with KUB
that I do not have any contracts or business interests with KUB
that constitute a conflict of interest,
that constitute a conflict of interest,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
and perform with fidelity the duties of Commissioner without fear or favor,
the duties of a commissioner without fear or favor,
to the extent of my skill and ability.
to the extent of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. You have your acceptance speech ready?
7 years, and I can remember two things. I can remember Commissioner Archer telling me that when my 7 years was up, that my daughter would be driving, and I thought, that's a lifetime away. But she is driving, and she has totaled the first car. So we did do that, and that Gloria Ray sent me a card, and I think that has been what I've tried to do on the board, is that I represent the ratepayers, and I always remember that when I come in here. And just thank you guys for believing in me and allowing me to serve another 7 years.
And before we get into the other business and before the Davises leave, I want to thank them too for coming. This is like old home week for us. When my kids were born and they were young up till teenage years, we lived across the street from the Davises. So they still speak to me despite what my dog and my kids probably did to them numerous times. And I kind of saw Nikisha when she was high school age as she was going into college. So it's kind of gone back full circle. And we thank you for your great daughter, and I thank you for being here today.
Thank you. You know, we occasionally have to bring Minta down to earth, and Nikisha told me earlier that she really has no recollection of Minta, but a big recollection of Minta's dog.
He was mad.
Oscar.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, next is election of 2011 officers. The charter provides that the board shall elect officers each year immediately following the election of a new commissioner. And I'd like to once again recognize Mr. Coley to conduct the election, please.
Commissioners, last month the nominating committee nominated the slate of officers for your consideration. You will recall that the recommended slate of officers is Pace Robinson, Chair, Eston Williams, Vice Chair, and Mark Walker, Secretary. Are there any other nominations? If not, is there a motion and second to elect this slate as selected by the nominating committee?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion carries. Chair Robinson, I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Okay, that's it. I'm it again, huh?
You're at the end.
Okay, well, we'll move right into our agenda. Resolution 1237, authorizing participation in TVA's two-part real-time pricing power program and amending the rate schedule of the electric division to provide for a two-part real-time pricing rate schedule.
Now, what's that really mean? As you know, KUB already participates in several time of use rates from TVA. We have a new one today, and this is designed to get our large industrial customers to consider moving their load from the high-cost, expensive peak demand hours to the less expensive demand hours. So I'm going to recognize Ed Medford, who is our manager of key business services or key accounts now. Key accounts, and he'll give you an update on this new program prior to your consideration for approval.
Thank you. Commissioners, my pleasure to bring forward this program. And this is a program, as the CEO just mentioned, that extends other programs that TVA has already announced to encourage large customers to shift their load to less expensive time. So it's a win-win for TVA, less expensive for them to generate, and for companies, less expensive for them to produce products. And these programs are always brought to the board for your consideration at the request of customers. And so the customers are already aware of these programs, and if, at the discretion of the board, if you decide to move forward with this, then they elect to participate in these things. So again, TVA has done several of these different rate programs to encourage us to off-peak times. So the program essentially is made up of two parts. And it's only eligible to the very largest of our customers, which is about 11 customers. But those 11 customers make up about 20% of KUB's total electric load. And it's only eligible to them, and essentially it uses a baseline. The customer and TVA agree on a certain baseline is the first part of the rate. The second part of the rate exposes the customer to market, whatever the current market rate is for TVA's most expensive generation mix, or anything above that baseline. And then anything below that baseline, if the customer could curtail during certain hours of the day, they would actually get a discount on their power rate from TVA for that credit that's below the baseline. So essentially they're selling their excess capacity to TVA from that baseline. So they lock into that particular baseline there. So those are the two parts of it. The duration, the customer baseline, or CBL, is actually set for the duration of this. Now, TVA will provide all the billing because there's a lot of complications to that, and they will send us a monthly total bill amount that includes our margin on there. So KUB is essentially revenue neutral on this thing. We will not lose or make any margin on this particular program. So it strictly is at the benefit of the customers that participate in this and the TVA perspective. So with that, the resolution 1237 authorizes participation in this optional program for two-part real-time pricing. It authorizes the President and CEO to execute necessary agreements, and it creates the two-part RTP rate schedule for the electric division. At this time, I'll be happy to entertain any questions that any of the commissioners may have.
I have a question. Is how much, you said the customers already know about it, and they're, I guess TVA explains it to them, and they elect the plan or not. On the front end, though, is there much input from the customer? Do they do focus groups or surveys, or did TVA dream up this is what's going to work for us, and we're sticking it out there?
Excellent question. The customers, many of these larger customers are a member of what's called a distributor-served customer group that provides direct input to TVA. And the distributors of those customers sit in with it. So we jointly work with TVA on these programs. and they provide the input, and they say, is there any market for this type of program? And this program is very similar to other large generation companies across the country. They offer a real-time pricing product that gets a little more specific than just a time of use. It actually gets down to the hour, changing the prices on an hourly basis. And again, yes, the customers are providing input on the front end, and then it's up to the distributor and the distributor boards to decide whether or not they want their customers to participate in this or not. I hope that answers your question.
And sometimes we have customers who have other locations and even other providers who might have a similar product, and they might want to also have it here. So there's that dialogue going back and forth.
On the prior screen there, you're showing that it's revenue neutral. One of the things, this is probably the fourth or fifth or sixth TDA program that they've asked us to approve for our customers, mostly for the larger customers. And I have had a concern in the past as it relates to how much effort that we have to expend in order to provide another test for TDA. You can assure me that this is not going to cost KUB anything I know we're not going to make anything, but can you assure me that it's not going to cost us anything?
Again, by the billing aspect being provided by TDA, we essentially put a line item onto the customer's bill. Our systems are already set up to handle that type of line item insertion onto their bills.
What you mentioned the duration. What is the duration of this?
It's 1 to 3 years. There's a couple different variations of the real-time program, and so the more risk they want to take on, the longer they have to actually lock into the particular thing, up to 3 years. If they're wanting to just take real-time pricing, again, the deviations is not that great from the base rates, then they don't sign on for more than 1 year. But at the minimum, it's a 1 year commitment to the customer, and it's a 3 year commitment if they want to take on more risk.
Do we have a feel for how many of those our 11 customers are going to be interested in this?
But we know one of our largest ones is definitely interested, as the CEO mentioned. They have plants both in the TVA region as well as outside the region, national presence, where they participate in this type of rate structure. And they're the ones who are actually coming to us and requesting that we allow their participation in this rate. They have another plant that's a direct serve by TVA in the valley where they already participate in this type of rate structure. This rate's been available for a couple of years, but we've never had a customer actually come to us and request it until now. And so again, the eligibility will make it available to all 11 customers, but we have one that's actually requesting it.
And can I go back to Commissioner Cannell's concern? About 3 years ago, I guess, we had a new TVA program that required us to do some significant programming. So in order for us to administer, we had to have software to do so, and we did incur some expense in doing that. And you brought it up at the time, and we acknowledged that was a requirement at the time. Since that time, though, all the other programs that have come before you, we've been able to adopt and administer with the provisions that we have. And this particular one will not cost us any direct work time programming, new software packages, or anything to be able to administer this.
Thank you.
I move that we approve Resolution 1237.
Second.
Okay, are there any other questions? Is there any comments from public on this motion, resolution? Okay, we have a motion and a second. I believe it requires a roll call vote. Mr. Cohen?
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Cannell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Robinson.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Resolution 1237 is passed on its first reading.
Okay, thank you. We'll move into our president's report.